Hello and welcome to another Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. I'm Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo, your host. Few ships have been introduced into Star Citizen without a major controversy. There has been controversy every time there is a ship that's being released into the verse. And over and over again, people forget what Chris and the rest of the CIG development team have said. There are going to be many ships in this game, a diverse amount of ships with different gameplay styles, even different play styles in the same game loop. And this is because this is a real universe, a living, breathing, dynamic universe. And things have to be done. You have to haul, you have to salvage, you have to tow, you have to fight off countless numbers of Vandul. You have to fight off pirates. You have to go and take the pirates' loot back. You have to protect and defend different bunkers and stop boarding actions. You get the idea. But all of these things that we have to do come with a learning curve, a huge one. I mean, let's face the music here, right? This game is not easy. This game is not for the faint of heart. And this game is going to cost people lots of money. But one thing that CIG is trying to do is set up all of the ships to take care of all of their citizens from early in the game to late in the game. One piece of information I took away from CitizenCon is that they're going to be building out a tutorial, but that tutorial isn't going to be simple. It's going to be a whole line of missions, and it sounds like they're going to be doing them for all the different skill trees, all the different professions. And this is important to me because there's so much in this game that you have to learn. I still haven't learned how to use a new radar and scanning. I still haven't learned all the little tidbits about hauling and about salvaging. And I'm glad that there's people that are always on that are willing to show me. But when you're starting out this game and there's going to be suddenly tens of thousands of people that are coming onto the servers, you're going to want to know how to do the very basics to some of the more advanced things in the game. So CIG just began to release the starter ships as true starter ships with everything on board that are going to teach people the game. This is one of those first ships that is going to have all the pieces intact for training and tutoring people on the game mechanics. Why do I say that? Has anyone else said that? I don't know. I've seen a lot of, is it worth it? It's underpowered. It's too hard to load. But I didn't see anything about the actual real reason this ship exists. And that's because this is the trainer. This is something that people are going to get early in the game and learn different mechanics. The Crusader Intrepid is set up to be the starter ship for somebody that wants to do hauling or box renting or even just getting out there and doing a few very low risk bounty hunting missions. And this game exists to show off those mechanics. It even has an engineer terminal in the back. And that is going to be integral to what my message is here. So when you look at the Intrepid, have an open mind and know that this ship is going to be integral to what CIG sees for future starter ships, and hopefully as the basis for what they do to the old starter ships as they start moving forward. Now I'm going to say this, there's nothing that really stands out as exceptional on this ship. It's not pretty, it's hard to load, it doesn't carry a 4 SCU box. It's honestly a frustrating ship when you think about it. But I have found it to be an amazing ship to fly. Yes, it's not going to be the end-all be-all in combat, and I do not believe that this ship was ever intended to even get into combat. The weapon on the nose or in the front of the ship most likely exists just as a deterrent to people that might want to attack it. Now, if you're in a bigger ship like a Vanguard, a Hornet, a F-8 Lightning, you're not going to care. But if you're coming upon this ship early in the game in a Mustang, that big size 4 cannon in the front might just make you think twice. Now, if you've ever flown this ship, you're not going to think twice. You're just going to say easy prey. But nonetheless, this is a nice ship to start. Now, when I look at early game missions, box running is probably one of the ones that most people have started out looking at, right? So in the living compartment in this ship, there's room to take 3 boxes, and I think you could probably squeeze more. And that's going to be important as people start flying around the verse, getting the hang of flying, taking off, landing, and turning in missions. It's going to be instrumental in teaching them the ropes, right? So, where do we go from here? What other ships could use this as a standard? And there are 2 that I think of right off the bat. Now, one of them is kind of broken at the moment, and I hope they come up with a way in the Gold Pass to make it more useful, and that would be the Reliant. The Reliant is the first multi-crew ship that we get to fly, but it is broken. Currently, when the ship rotates into a vertical orientation, the second crew member cannot access the rest of the ship. This is something that needs to change. Maybe somehow having the wings turn around the body without the body turning itself. And the reason for that would be, the way I see it, is that there should be an engineering panel somewhere in the back compartment. Someplace that the second crew member could start accessing different systems. Or don't do any of that and just give them their own screen to access those systems on the co-pilot's chair. I can see so many ships being updated with the same features as the Intrepid. It makes sense. And it really does stink that CIG designed so many of these ships before the game loops were done and before engineering gameplay was even thought about, because there's going to be a lot of extras that are going to have to be added to some of the older craft to bring them up to standard. Otherwise, the hundreds of dollars that people spent, and sometimes thousands, on the older ships is going to become null and void. So I'm going to spend a little time on the Intrepid itself. And although I like this ship and it's growing on me, I do feel that they dropped the ball on connecting it more deeply to the rest of the Crusader ships. The asymmetry on this ship has no purpose. It's just there to say they did asymmetry. And it doesn't look good. So if you're looking at the ship and trying to decide on whether to buy it or not based on looks, I don't believe there's going to be very many people that are going to say, I bought this because it's a really pretty ship. I really do think CIG has to take more time when designing these let's get them right out the door ships and start thinking about what the design language is for the rest of the ships from those manufacturers. Some of the other Crusader Industries ships do have an amazing need for asymmetry, or they show it off very well. This ship does not. It is ugly from the front, fat from the back, and just, oh my God, it's like you don't buy it because it's pretty at all. This is the ship with great personality and not great looks. Entering this ship, you get to see something that's done right. The door goes off to the side and you have a ladder that comes out that does not require any animation, so you could run on and off the ship, especially during bunker missions. The cargo compartment is quite unique, with what I'd like to say is a cargo compartment that has an airlock. So if it gets vented back here, you will not lose another compartment. This ship is done well. There's the engineering console, And this is the only part that I really fear, just stacking all these components up over here. But I'm sure it's because they want to teach people how to deal with components in this particular ship. And then on the other side, we have another cargo compartment, just like the first. Pretty nice. I'm skipping over the living quarters for now, but mind you, this is supposed to be your daily driver. So you have all the amenities that you need to live in the verse. There is a single bed, which alleviates any kind of roleplay you would have. Box missions, there was a shelving unit that could handle 3 1/8 SCU boxes. And there's a table and a kitchenette. Something I wish they would do is start thinking about having friends. Put another seat back there, make the bed a double bed, etc. We're in here to be part of a community. We're in here in a multiplayer universe. And too many of these starter ships are leaving out that multiplayer part of the game. But I will take this opportunity to give a tremendously big kudos to CIG for actually putting double beds inside the Star Lancer. It is amazing that they did that, and it does afford the opportunity for role play, and it also is telling you that this is a ship that people live on. This is a space that people spend the better part of a year in, and I love that. So let's get back to taking a look at some of the things in the ship. For me, a starter ship should have 3 main things. One should be good looks, and this has already failed in that, so it better excel in the other 2. The next one should be easy to use. And this is. There's multiple ways on the ship. It carries 8 SCU of cargo, and it has spaces for your boxes, so it makes doing some of the early missions much easier. The next thing is it's got to be easy to fly. I found this ship very easy to fly, and I found it very responsive. Super fast, and it accelerates like a Greyhound. This thing is amazing in those respects. Landing the ship was a breeze, as you'll see here, and loading and unloading is probably one of the areas that this ship absolutely does fail. And it's only because you could only load the cargo from the front, which causes you to have a very steady hand while trying to load your 8 1 SCU boxes onto the cargo grids. It takes a little bit of time to get them through the elevated arms that are attaching it to the ship, but I found once I got used to it, it almost became second nature trying to maneuver the boxes onto the cargo grid. Now comes a little bit of criticism. I find that these missions are not easy to find when you're looking for hauling missions. You might as well just go and buy and sell commodities, and that might be the easier way for you to do it. CIG really needs to look at the hauling game loop and start putting filters in the missions. Filters that could filter it by small, medium, and large hauls, and also by the size of the box. Because you have to go through tens of missions before you find one that just has the 1 SCU boxes. Many times you're going to be fine. It's going to be 6 or 8, but I found a couple of 10 and 12s in there too, which I can't take here. After doing this cargo mission, it leads me to identify one thing. This ship is competing with Origin's 315P, and that ship has a decided advantage, both in looks and cargo capacity. It takes 12 SCU, but it also has the ability to take 4 SCU boxes, and that puts it way above the Intrepid. But even though the 315 could beat this in cargo, the other thing I have to say is that the 315P wasn't built recently. It's an old design, so it still lacks some of the newer amenities. The way that they are building out the ship, where they're putting components, and how they're arranging the interior. This ship beats the 315 in many of those, but the 315 is probably more accessible to cargo. I think this is a better design on the inside, and I hope they look at this and start looking at some of the older ships and decide how they're going to bring them up to standard. I don't want them spending too much time on that, though, because I do want the game out. But I'm hoping that down the road, like what Anvil just gave us, with Mark IIs of ships, maybe CIG in the future could start giving us Mark IIs of our favorite ships from the other manufacturers. As soon as 4.0 lands and is stable, I'm going to start my 0 to hero with Arena on this ship. And I will be streaming again when that happens. I'm really liking the game. I'm really liking all the different things I'm finding out as I get back into all the different aspects of what's changed since I left. But what I am missing the most is friends, and I'm trying to get everybody back together again from the enablers. But if you do want to hang out with me and some of my friends that have been playing this game for years, please just send me an in-game message to either Batgirl or Cosmic Cat or Arena. And if that doesn't work, just leave a comment below and I'll get in touch with you. Well, as we land this ugly duckling, I am not done with my review of this ship. I still need to take it out in-game for that 0 to hero. And that's where we're actually going to have our opinion. So if you like this video, please click the thumbs up button below. It will really help the channel grow. If you are a subscriber or have just recently subscribed, be sure to click that bell-shaped icon below and choose all so you get notified of all my future videos. And if you are new to Star Citizen and want to get in the game, look in the video description below and use my referral code to get 5,000 UEC and potentially some other free stuff. And with that said, you all be safe out there, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. To subscribe to the channel, click on the button on the upper left. To help support the channel by going to Patreon, click on the button on the upper right. To see my most recent video, click on the video to the left. And to see a video that YouTube thinks you might like, click on the video to the right.